pathology or some mechanisms. We're going to talk about a few numbers that we are seeing in the COVID-19 and SARS-CoV-2. And the context is the social distancing and the need for us to be able to observe or conduct these correctly. So the social distancing itself is really that we are supposed to stay away about 6 feet from each other. The reason for that is the droplet that or sneezed, which are carrying SARS-CoV-2 virus, and these can go and land in another person's mouth or nose or eyes and make them sick as well. So that is the social distancing. At a government level or at an administrative level, the social distancing is to ask to do this shelter in place, just like we are doing it at this time in California. We have been in, I think, for shelter in place since 10th. Today is 31st, so about 20 days. So California was the first state within the US that started the shelter in place announcement and almost kind of surprised the rest of the country to say, what the heck are you guys doing? And I think that there is a benefit that California is reaping, that the number of cases and deaths are low. Again, let's discuss this a little more. I want to show you some numbers. Carla, good evening. Amir, walaikum assalam. So let's continue our discussion. Good evening, Hasena. If I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So let's look at some of the numbers. I wanted to do 2 things today. Number one, the value of social distancing. Can I convey this much to all of us, the audience and the listeners? We have to model either like China or like South Korea. It is not necessary that every government, every administration is going to or understands to provide you the right protections. We cannot make every country like China to go do things that China did. These were very authoritarian things that cannot be done everywhere. We should do what South Korea did, but we probably cannot do that. So let's very quickly look at what South Korea did and what China did. So I'm going to share my screen and show you very quickly. Look what South Korea did was, South Korea, I have mentioned this before as well, they tracked people's transactions. That means if you are using a card somewhere in a shop, they would track that you are using a card, and they would tell the people around you at that time or afterwards, and tell them that there was a person who was COVID-19 and please come in for the testing. If a person is a confirmed case, then they would do this. They would track their transactions and inform everyone on the way. Then they would track their, they would track the transactions, then they would track the CCTV data and see that where a person has been moving around. And then they would track the telephone tower data. So as we are moving in a country from place to place, our mobile phones, they connect and disconnect to the closest telephone towers. And from that, you can tell where a person has been. And they would provide data, they would provide telephone messages to the people around a confirmed case and tell them to come in or be alert that there was someone who was confirmed. We cannot do that. I'm here in the US. I don't think that we are doing that here. I don't think if we can do that here. So that is one. So there are why we cannot do that over here. We may have technology and means, but I think it's the privacy issues and the freedom of people's movement. So this is what South Korea did. With this, when they were able to find people, then they did I think world's most testing was done in South Korea. So they did a lot of testing. And then here is a thing that I really want. Hey, Lynn, how are you? This is the key point for today. I was listening to an interview by the South Korean doctor who has been on the front and heading majority of the containment, and he was heading the MERS-CoV 2015 outbreak in South Korea. He was the head of the rapid response team. And here is something that he said, which I really want us all to understand. And that is, he said, masks are very important. I understand that we are saying that WHO is saying don't use masks, or now they're saying you can use cloth to kind of cover your face, but masks should be left for the healthcare workers. The doctor from South Korea said their success came from using the masks. And he said our whole nation used the mask, and he gave this interview somewhere on the YouTube as well, so you can go and listen to that. And he gave a warning to Western nations and said, you guys are not using masks, you think it is not useful, and that is why you're having a wider spread of the virus. That may or may not be the case, but I want to make sure that we understand that using a mask can be good. So my own point of view has changed. My point of view earlier was that a mask has holes in it, the gaps in the fiber are 300 nanometers. And the virus is 90 to 110 nanometer, which is small enough that it can pass through these holes and go in. So wearing a mask may not be useful. But the doctor in South Korea said that our success, other than testing and tracking, our success came from lots of mask usage. So I would consider that mask may be an important thing. Although we keep hearing in the Western nation, in the US, we keep hearing that wearing a mask makes you comfortable, that I am protected. And so you try to adjust the mask and you touch your face more often because you think you're comfortable and you are protected. And that in turn increases your chances of getting the infection. So I have presented both sides of the cases to you. I think that wearing a mask will be interesting. So that is what South Korea did. And then on the other hand, if you look at what China did not probably do this much. I think they used a lot of technology too. But with that, in the Wuhan, they did a huge lockdown. I guess world's biggest and most aggressive lockdown was shown by China. If you look at the videos for what they did, that was so aggressive. They picked people up, they threw them in the van, they took them to the hospital, they made temporary hospitals, they would lock people in the buildings, they weld their doors. So I don't think, I'm here in the US in California, I don't wish that they would come and lock my door and weld them. So maybe we cannot do it. So what's the answer? The answer is the social distancing. And I want to show you some numbers today to kind of make sense of social distancing. And I hope that you all know shelter in place, stay indoors, stay 3-4 weeks in home. Why do you stay in home? What is the benefit? So when you shelter in place, that means stay wherever you are. When you shelter in place, and let's say you go for 3 weeks, what do you think is the benefit? Yeah, you can use scarf as well. Yes. The benefit is the following. Look, let's say I am sick today. I got sick today and I'm sheltering in place. This virus incubation time is anywhere from 2 days to 14 days. And the median is 5 days. Median. Median means 50% of the population. So what this means is that within the 2 days to 14 days, a person who has the virus in them will show the symptoms. So if I have the virus in 2 to 4 days, I have symptoms. Median is 5.1 days, which means 50% of the population will show the symptoms within 5 days. So if I am sheltering in place, if I am sitting at home, if I'm social distancing from others, I will have a chance to know if I am sick or not. And maybe 5 days or 10 days, I will know, 14 days, I will know if I am sick or not. So that is the first thing. And if I am sick, then I can comfortably call my doctor, tell them that, hey, I'm not feeling well. And then if they think that I should come to the hospitals, they'll call me to the hospital, they'll be ready for me, and they will bring me and manage me. And if I am not sick, then I would spend 3 weeks at home, more than 14 days, let's say. I will not have symptoms and I'll be fine. And now I know that I am healthy. Then I have to make sure that I don't make others sick. So that is a 6 feet part. When I cough, the droplets that come out of my mouth can go up to 6 feet. I've discussed this many, many times. And the coronavirus is sitting on those droplets, and it can go with me, sorry, not with me, with the droplets, and land in other person's mouth or nose or eyes and make them sick. Same is the sneeze. It may be with the aerosol as well. That is the tinier particles that are just floating around from our breath. Aerosol is formed that when I cough and the droplet starts traveling, if the temperature is such that the droplet starts shrinking while it is traveling, then the smaller droplet, the smaller piece, will stay hanging in the air. It would become so small that it would not fall down, and it would just keep hanging in the air with the virus sitting on it and riding. And now you are walking around, and the virus is going to go into your mouth. And that aerosol can stay in an environment for 3-4 hours. So social distancing is very, very important. 6 feet distance, cover your face, make sure that you wash your hands, make sure that you use sanitizers, make sure that you are aware that various surfaces have various kind of virus life on them. So this much clear that social distancing. Let me give you an example. In the US, when the virus came in, so let's look at the US for a second, the numbers. These are scary numbers. So if you look at the US numbers, look at this. This is US confirmed cases, John Hopkins, 189,000. Deaths, 3,900. But look at this over here. This is John Hopkins dashboard here. Look at the number of deaths and the cases here. New York City, 1,096 deaths. Then New York, 242. And if you keep going down, New Jersey is also stuck at this time, unfortunately. But if you keep going down to California, 54 deaths. So the virus and the infection arrived almost at the same time. But why is the California still better? And it is not necessary that that is how it would stay. Maybe it would change. But at least for the time being, that is what is happening. Because California was the first, so San Francisco was the first city that asked for the shelter in place. Then the Bay Area became, I live in Bay Area, that went into shelter in place. Then the whole state went into shelter in place. And we were, I think, 10 days ahead of New York. And the result of that is that New York now has 1,000 deaths. And imagine if they have 1,000 deaths, how many were the cases? And California has less. I hope and pray that is the case. There is so much data that can be skewed. People can still go and start mingling with each other. We may be in the early stages. It might become bad here as well. But I want to make sure that we understand that this is an important thing. So I hope that this is clear to everyone that social distancing is an important thing. Now I want to share another thing that with our members here. So look, this is WHO's dashboard for the cases, and I'm going to go to United States. So look at the United States. WHO is slightly behind from John Hopkins. So John Hopkins is saying 189,000 cases. WHO is saying 140,000. So they are behind. But check this out. This is what I want you to understand. The speed of spread. Look at this. Today, 40,000 people, 140,000. Then look at how many days before they became half. 140 is half is 70. So let's go and find where the number 70 is. So about 68 here. So this was 325. So March 25, US was at 70,000, and March 30, we are at 140. We doubled in how many days? 5 days. We doubled in 5 days from 70 to 150, 140. Let's see how many days for us to become 70. So let's look at 35. So if I go down here, it's going to be somewhere here. So 22 near the evening of the 22nd. So between 22 to 25, only in 3 days, we became double again. And there are all kind of messages out there that, hey, we became double because we started testing later. We were not testing before if we would have testing. But this is just some data to understand what can be expected. Then if I go to so this is 35 here. If I go down to 15, you would see somewhere over here is 15. So 321. So from 321, thank you, Shokaib. You are my ideal, Shokaib. From 321 to 60 in 3 days. Then from 70 to 140 in 5 days. Imagine in next 5 days, if we'll become double again, we'll have 250 or 300,000 cases. And the death rate follows that. So if we take, what is US's death rate? I have a sheet over here. US's death rate at this time is, I think about, let me put this data in my sheet and look at our death rate. So US's death rate at this time is about 1.7. According to John Hopkins, that number may be a little different. 2% death rate. And we are doubling every 5 days. Do you know what's going to happen? If we take, let's look at this sheet for a second. I'm going to increase the view size. Tell me if you can make sense of the sheet. So here is a country, US. US received its first 100 cases on about March 20. So if I go here to John Hopkins and if I change this here, this is somewhere March 20-ish is when US started picking up. It's actually even before that. But I'm using March 20 for us. I think it's here March 9 is when 259 cases were. So March 20. So I'm giving another 10 days. So let's make it March 9, 2020. If we take China's data, if we look at China's data, now please follow me for a second. China's data shows that they had a peak and then they contained it in about 44 days. They had started in December, then they struggled with this in January as well. But really where they started peaking and then they went down was about 44 days. So if we say that US will develop a similar peak, so if I go here to the US, and this is the peak they're developing, imagine if we have a similar peak. I think it's not going to be similar. The way we are attacking the problem is not the right way. So we may have a problem prolonged and more people sick, which we can already see. We have surpassed China already. So, but let's use China's number, 44 days. That means that it started on March 9 and it's going to finish on April 22nd. And US on average has been doubling every 5 days. So I'm going to put 5 here and take 30 more days from today to 30 more days and see what happens to US. So today's case rate, cases 140, deaths are this much. Look at this, we'll double every 5 days. And in 30 days here, 1 million people sick, 153,000 deaths. 1 million people sick, 103,000 deaths. I hope this is making you pause if you are in the US. 1 million people sick within next 30 days because we are doubling every 5 days. Now, can we stop doubling? Of course, social distancing. Either we do what China did, and I don't think we can do that. Or we do what Korea did, South Korea did. I don't think we can do that. So what do we need to do? Social distancing. People, we have to take care of ourselves now. And the example of social distancing, New York did not do the social distancing or did not do it in time. So they were 10 days behind California. California, where I am, we have smaller number of deaths. It might increase. I'm just saying that look at this example that we started social distancing early on and then New York did not do it and look where they are at. They are stuck. They have become a hotspot. They have become an epicenter and California is trailing behind. This is the same thing for people outside of the US. This is a similar model for you too. So we can implement what Korea did and what China did by social distancing, by washing our hands, by using our masks, by staying away from others, by doing neat hygienic habits, by having them. And my heart aches for my healthcare working colleagues, friends, students. You have to go to hospitals every day. You have to be on the front lines. You cannot avoid it. You cannot say, I'm going to sit home and do social distancing and shelter in place. So the risk that is with you is tremendous. So I am proud of you. I salute you for what you're doing, and I'm worried about you as well. So we have to really, really protect you. So please, I wish to our lucky stars, God, Allah, whoever you believe in, that you are protected. But people have to protect themselves so they do not end up with you that often, and you are protected as well. So this is one. Let me show you a couple of more things. I'm going to share my screen again. I wanted to look at more data. I want to look at Italy's data in the same way as I just looked at US's data. So look, Italy, if I go to WHO's Italy site, look at the Italy's peak there. Look at China. See, there is this neat curve here, bell curve. Italy doesn't show that bell curve yet, but I can see that they are now going down. So Italy hopefully would start going downwards. It's not just the immune system, Sujit, it is also people becoming scared and staying at home. It is also the management. It is also the people who have become a victim, and then immunity. So Italy is going down. So let's look at the Italy's numbers. I have those numbers here. Italy's first significant cases came on Feb 22nd. So think about it for a second. Let's check it out. February 22nd is when Italy started having the spread or exponential spread. According to China's peak time for the bell curve, they should have an end to this problem by April 6th, which I don't see that they would have it. Their bell curve is going downwards, but is not with that speed. But let's say that by April 6th. And they have been doubling. So if I look at their numbers here, at the cumulative cases, they have been doubling on average in 8 days. They were doubling in shorter periods. That means they are actually on the decline. The number of new cases, the number of hospitalizations, the number of deaths are an indicator of the decline or acceleration. So if the number of days for doubling is shorter, 3 days, 5 days, then you are going upwards. And when it starts coming down, it would start becoming shorter, and the doubling time would become longer. So Italy's now latest doubling time was 8 days. That means they are now going downwards, which is a good news. Now, at what Italy in next, let's say we are at 30th or 31st March, we have another 6, 7, 8 days for April 6th. I would actually think that this would go on for another 10, 15 days, unfortunately, for Italy. And if that is the case, if they go up till here, look at the situation. For almost 500,000 people sick, lesser than 500,000, and almost 40,000 people dead. That is how Italy's curve is looking like. It is not an exact map to Wuhan because they could not control it like Wuhan. So let's look at one more country. I want to look at Spain as well. So look at Spain's curve here. So they are starting to go down as well. 85,000 cases, 7,300 deaths. Their curve, do you see that they have started reducing too? So if you see here, you would see that their doubling time is now increasing. That is a good thing. That means the spread and death rates are now reducing. If you double in longer time, that means you're slowing down. If you double in shorter periods of time, that means you're accelerating. So they were accelerating and now they are becoming slower, which is a good news. Let's look at the Spain's number. I have the numbers already prepared here. If I plug those numbers here, they will be like Wuhan by April 21. Ideally, they should finish. If that is the case, I can't predict that they would finish by then or not. But if that is the case, and they've been doubling on average 5 days, then if we go here for April 20, we take 20 days data. 1.3 million people sick and 117,000 dead. That is possible if they do not go to slow down. I am seeing that they are slowing down, because look at this, 85,000 cases here, and if I go down to 40,000 here, see, from 24 to 36 days. But if you look at their numbers here, from 40 to 20, another, so 20 to 40 is 5 days. So they were accelerated before, they are now slowing down. Why? It's not that they are managing everyone as well. It is that people are now taking care of the social distance as well. People are making sure that they are taking care of themselves and they're staying away. When you see everybody around you getting sick and people dying, then you would start taking care of yourself. It is human nature. So that is what is happening in Spain. So I am hoping that within next 10-15 days, Spain would be near the bottom of the bell curve on the other side, and hopefully about 1 million cases. I wish that they are not that much. I wish that they just finish it in another 10-20,000, or even not them, and just finish and bell curve finishes. But if you look at their bell curve, they are going downwards. I do not see the speed of the downward curve yet. Then I also wanted to see a couple of countries. Of course, my country of origin, Pakistan, so I always keep looking at that. So if I plug in Pakistan's numbers here, Pakistan started, the significant case in Pakistan started on, so if you see here, March 9 is when 10, and then they started going up. So I have put that number here, March 9. If we take the Wuhan model again, 44 days to peak and then go down, then April 22, if we take those 22 days and we take the current number, Pakistan has been doubling every 3 to 5 days. They have to start slowing down. The indicator for slowdown would be they would double in 8 days. That is the indicator that now they're slowing down. So if they keep going up with 5, if you see here, 29,000 cases and 560 deaths, if the spread doesn't start. Pakistan hasn't hit the exponential curve part yet. Pakistan hasn't hit this exponential curve. They are just starting. Exponential curve really starts hammering when the cases are more than 1,000. And now Pakistan is at 1,800. Now it is interesting to see how they contain themselves and how the disease is contained. So my request to anybody who's listening from Pakistan is social distancing, social distancing, social distancing. There may be prophylactic drugs as well, but at this time, social distancing. Then I also look at India as well. I have many of my team members from India. I have many friends from India. So let's look at India. India is here, 1251 and 32 deaths. So I have that data prepared here as well. India's significant cases started on March 19. So if I plug that number in here, and if I say that they will be done by May 2, so we are at March end, so 10 days, then the whole month of March, 30 days, then May 2, so let's say 32, I'm going to say 32 days. If we go with the same curve without any increment in the bell curve, if the social distancing is applied, if the shelter in place is applied, then hopefully 160,000 people sick and 4,000 deaths. These are the ideal numbers with the Wuhan model and containment without the exponential growths, which I hope that we don't get the exponential growths. This is what I'm seeing. For the US, I'm really worried. If you see the US numbers, did I show you the US numbers? If I put US here, March 20 is when the significant cases came in. That means April, May, so about 33 days, not even 30, yeah, about 33 days. And we've been doubling 8 days. Now we're slowing down, but I think we are fluctuating. We are not very, very accurate in it. But even with that, if you see 500,000 people and 76,000 deaths, I think that we are going to continue with 3 to 5 days of doubling till we hit the point of lower side of the other side of the bell curve. And if that is the case, we'll see anywhere from 9 million to 18 million people sick, and 150,000 to 300,000 people dead. So I wanted to make sure that we as people understand this, we as doctors understand this, that the important thing here is the social distancing. Important thing is we take care of ourselves. So please wash yourselves, wash your hands, wash your clothes. Don't touch your face very often. If you can, that will be great that you don't touch it. Stay away from each other. Stay at home as much as possible. If you go out, come back and clean yourself. If you're bringing things from outside, bring them home and then clean yourself, and so on. San Francisco, I'll repeat, is a good example of social distancing. And California, we are at home for now, since 10th? And we are, compared to New York, doing much better. I hope that New York recovers as well. So many of my family members are there. So many of friends are there. Colleagues are there. Human beings are there. So we have to be praying for the betterment of everyone. But I wanted us all to know this. Spread actually has not yet hit that number. It happens with everyone. So Sujit is asking, why is India spread slow? I think that what happens is that if you see any country, initial spread is always slow. Look at US's initial spread. It took from 123 till March 16. So how much is that? So about 7 days of January, whole February, and 16 days, about 2 months it took for slowly increasing. And then when it reaches about 1,000, that is when it starts doubling and doubling and doubling and causing an issue. So it is not that it is slow. And what I see that people, when governments and the people, when they are in this state of flat part of the S curve, they think that we are good and we have done something good. Just like maybe I'm saying that about California in the same way. And then they start dancing around and saying we are doing good. But it is after 1,000 that within 3 days it becomes 2, and then 3 days it becomes 4, and then 8, and then it just keeps going up. So Sujit, I hope that answers that question. That is the same case for Pakistan as well, that we have hit about 2,000. I hope that nobody is hurt to go up for any country. But this is what I'm seeing. I wish to apply to us with South Korea's model, not China's Wuhan model. That was too authoritarian. South Korea's model was social distancing, tracking, testing, aggressively managing. I hope we can do that. So I hope that this was useful. I hope that. So when I was showing you the model, I was not sharing my screen. So let me quickly show you this. What I was saying is that when the flat part of the S curve that you see, the flat part is really very deceiving, because people in this time think that, hey, we are not growing exponentially, we are not going up, we are fine. And so they think that everything is good. But once they hit 1,000, see here, US, when they hit 1,000, soon after that, they started going up. If you look at Italy, there is again a tail here, which is very deceptive that, hey, nothing is bad. But as soon as they hit 1,000, do you see that they started going up? Spain, here is the flat part of the curve. You look at that and you say, hey, this is not bad. It's not growing. And then as soon as you hit 1,000 and you keep doubling it every 3-4 days, it goes up. Same thing with the China. They have contained. This is the end of it. So first flat part, then exponential growth. And then as the speed reduces, then this upper part of the S curve. So this is the S curve that is formed because of this bell curve that is for the cases. So many countries, keep this in mind. This is the S curve. I'm sure that South Korea would show the same thing. Let's look at it. Where is South Korea? Republic of Korea, here. So see, almost similar thing, although they're still having spillover, but their cases have really dropped. So where is South Korea? The Republic of Korea or South Korea is separate over here? Yeah, this is South Korea. Italy, Spain, China, Germany, France, United Kingdom. Let's look at UK. So see, UK is still going up. No indication that it is moving towards the S curve like here. The indication of slowing down and going away is this part of the curve that it is going to slow down. So look at US, still going up. Look at it, still going up, going up. China has achieved the S. Germany going, Iran, I do not know the number of them, if these are correct or not. France going up, UK going up, Switzerland going up, Belgium up. So none of these countries have yet shown this kind of a graph. When you hit this part of the graph, what are the indicators that you have hit that part? The indicators are going to be, number one, fewer hospitalizations and fewer deaths. These are the indicators that the system is now slowing down. So hopefully this is a conclusion of this message. Is it is up to the to stay. I know that there is poverty. I know that even for me, staying at home, businesses are impacted. My own business is impacted. Businesses are impacted. People are not spending money at this time. People are not able to earn correctly at this time. So all that in its place. But our parents, their parents, our friends, our families, our colleagues, human beings, they are at stake. So please make sure that you can do your best to stay at home and do the social distancing and sheltering. Thank you very much. I'm going to hang up now. Any questions that should be answered before we go? Did you like, tomorrow we'll talk about vitamin C and vitamin D and their effect on COVID-19. Dr. Faiz, thank you very much for your message. I really love it. Thank you. Extending of lockdown. What was this? Of lockdown. What's your opinion? I would ask to extend the lockdown. Yeah, so Angela, you're correct that the virus can lose their integrity or viability in temperature. The question is this thing that many people have been saying that, hey, just drink hot tea. I answered that thing yesterday as well. I addressed it. Hot tea or hot shower or air in the ventilator. That is just a bunch of, I don't want to say it. Look, virus can tolerate 56 degrees, can tolerate 41 degrees. If you give really hot thing in the body, it's going to fry us. It's going to damage us before damaging the virus. But hopefully hot temperature would cause the droplets to shrivel faster. And the virus has an envelope on it. Hopefully ultraviolet rays and hot temperature would cause the envelope to lose water quickly and the virus viability becoming less. Hopefully that would happen. So with this, thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to hang up. Thank you for your time listening to me. We'll talk about vitamin C and vitamin D. So there is a question here. That question is, any role of summer high temperature? So that's what I just talked about, that maybe, although Australia did not see much of the impact here. So if I look at Australia, I don't think Australia was much benefiting from that. So I thought it works, but it seems like it may not. So then there is, does sauna help? Not really. Look, here's the deal, guys. Virus needs 56 degree to die. We can take up to 41 degree. You can't have a sauna which is going to be higher than the temperature that we can tolerate for a long time. We can have fever for many days and virus would not die from that fever. It would only help the immune system to work better. So don't put yourself at risk. So this message here, there is a very widespread message on social media in Pakistan that inhaling steam kills virus. How true is that? I am so sick of this thing. Look, guys, inhaling steam. When you put steam in your respiratory system, you are going to burn it. Virus is, let me show you. I'm going to share my screen and explain. So look, Look, here is a cell. Let's say in this cell the virus is sitting, and then the cell has mucus layer in front of it, mucus. And mucus has some virus in it as well. You want to bring steam here to kill these two guys. The tolerance of this cell is 41 degrees centigrade. This thing is water. It can even go up to 100 degrees centigrade before it boils. Now, virus needs 56 degrees centigrade at least for many, many minutes. You bring in hot liquid or steam. You start evaporating these mucous membranes by boiling them away. If you can bring that hot of a steam, you are going to destroy the cell before you can reach these viruses and kill them. Cell can only take 41 degrees. Virus needs 56 degrees. How hot would you make the steam? So what would happen is that in this whole process, you are going to kill the normal cell epithelial cell of the respiratory system. That itself is acute respiratory distress syndrome. That itself is sufficient to kill a person. That the whole respiratory tree is damaged. Now there is bleeding there. There is no gas exchange there. There are infections there. There is respiratory distress. So I do not know why people make such posts and put them out and put other people at risk. It just makes me so angry. So then there is this question: Will this virus be more active in air conditioner? Air conditioners and the viruses or droplets travel better in the dry air. Number one. Number two, air conditioners help circulate the air. And conditioners do not have the HEPA filter, the proper and bacteria. They can't go, but other than that, they would just create a lot of infections inside. So thank you very much. I think we have discussed enough. I wanted to make sure that you understand the value of social distancing. You understand the value of staying inside. Please not sit around saying, what can they do? What can they make for 1 billion people or 200 million or 300 million people? Can they start making? They don't have it at this time. So it is our job to protect ourselves. And please don't do these silly things of inhaling heats and I've become very angry with this, so I can't even talk about it. Are you aware that the quarantine is also a zinc ionophore? Oh, I did not know. AP, please comment on the video afterwards and I'll look into it. Is the cytokine storm more like to happen in healthy young people because their immune system is stronger? It happens in some people. It is still not known which people develop it. I think that they're not doing autopsies because they're afraid of the infections. And so they don't really know that which are the people who are developing these. We would find out later on, but at this time we're not clear. So we can't, this would be a speculation if I said that this is because the immune system is strong. The virus itself I did a video yesterday where I talked about 3 mechanisms which can cause the massive immune response. So please watch that video. It is the video before this one. What's the time it's going to be? So tomorrow the same time, 6 or 7 Pacific Standard Time, we'll talk about vitamin C and vitamin D and their effect on COVID-19 or no effect on COVID-19 and their danger of taking a lot. People have been telling me that we are going to take a massive dose of vitamin C. Guys, what is happening? Just keep yourself away from others. Keep yourself neat and clean. Keep the surfaces clean around you. If you are sick and you're coughing, just cough in your elbow. Don't cough in your hand and then put it everywhere. Stay at home. Do not go and mix outside. That is the basic answer for this. Okay, guys, thank you very much. The video is continuing to become long. We'll talk again tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye. And stay safe and stay healthy. I love you all. Bye.